Hello everybody, welcome to this week's video. I'm Geoff Laughton, your relationship architect, and I'm someone who is really wanting to help change the paradigm of gender relations, how we men and women interact, and how that could be done in a very different, more powerful way to bring more harmony. And it just turns out that relationships, love relationships primarily, but really all relationships, including the one you have with you, how can that help all that happen? Encourage it, grow it, etc. So today, I want to talk about a really great question that I heard yesterday. And it was a question presented by Jack Canfield. Any of you who have ever read Chicken Soup for the Soul, or maybe have read any of his books, he's been around a long time, and I happened to go to an event of his in Denver yesterday. It was really great, and he presented a question that immediately made my belly tighten up and kind of a gulp, and that was when I knew this is a really good question that I need to ask whenever I get in an argument with my wife, or I'm, kind of up against it and annoyed with anybody, really, that I'm in a relationship with, including my relationship with myself. When I'm just really upset, this question is killer. But before I share it with you, I want to just create a little bit of a context so that it makes sense and helps you know when and how you could use it. So in my last few videos, I've been talking about responsibility. In my last video, I spoke about expectations and how those can be a one-way ticket to hell, and conflict and disappointment and so forth. Then at the end of that talk, I mentioned that one way to work with expectations and help them have, minimal to no negative impact on you, your life, your relationships, was to really look at responsibility. And I shared a definition of responsibility that I've heard in a few different places now, all of a sudden. It's kind of like when you get a new car, all of a sudden you notice there's a ton of cars just like yours on the road. Well, I think it's kind of like this for me, where I get, ah, and then all of a sudden I'm finding it all over. So it kind of gives proof that great minds think alike, or at least think along similar lines. Anyway, this definition of responsibility says that responsibility is really about response ability, our ability to respond. And it says that only if you realize that you are responsible do you have the power to create your life the way you want it to be, and not to create it as a reaction. Because when somebody pisses you off, you probably, if you're anything like me, you react. Well, what? What do you mean? Screw you. We get into reaction defense. And this definition that I'm sharing also asserts that you want to be able to respond rather than react, because in reactivity, you're a slave. You're a slave to your reaction, which means you're a slave to your ego and your mind. Your heart is probably nowhere to be found when that happens. And then you're going to be trying to work something out with your loved one, not connected to your heart, which means you're not going to be really fully connected to your love for them. So then you're going to react to them like they're the enemy and a threat. Whereas if you are operating from responsibility, then you have freedom. And if you can't be free in your relationship, why the hell even bother? Then you don't really have a relationship. You've just got, mutually shared manipulations designed to control someone else so that you can control your reality and keep your life just like this. Ugh. Okay, so let me add another take on responsibility that leads to the question that this whole talk today is about. So if we look at responsibility from the perspective that not only do we want to be responsive rather than reactive, and we want to be free rather than enslaved. And this was another thing that I heard Jack Canfield say yesterday, and I really liked it. What if we went through our life every day from a perspective that says, I will act as if I create, promote, or allow everything that happens to me. I win the lottery, somehow I created that, promoted it, or I certainly allowed it by going to buy the ticket, even though the odds are astronomical, right? So if I act every day as if I promote, create, or allow everything that happens to me, what could that create in your life, your experience of life? So here's the thing that really hit me that I think is relevant to every relationship. But I really believe that if every romantic relationship, partnership, marriage, whatever form it's in, if when you get upset with your partner, so here's the question. I want you to see what happens next time you get in an argument with your partner, or they pick a fight with you, or you pick a fight with them. Here's the question I want you to ask yourself. How have I created my partner behaving like this with me? Saying what they're saying it in the tone of voice they're saying, being a shit or being upset. How have I created that? That question changes everything. And the only way you're going to really know that for sure is to try it out. And that's going to be counterintuitive. You're going to have to probably slam on the brakes to any reaction you're having, defensiveness, counter irritation, some kind of fuck you that wants to come out of your mouth or actually does. Some form of disrespectful and defensive response. What happens if you just say, hang on, hold on. Hold that thought, sweetheart, honey. And you look, wait a minute. Yes, my partner just said that thing and said it in an energy that really doesn't work for me. But if I just pause and look at how have I created them being this way with me? Well, number one, that brings it all right back to both aspects of the definitions of responsibility I've just mentioned. Being responsible, because if you ask this question and look and really get an aha, an insight, then you can start taking ownership, taking responsibility in the traditional sense of that word, and that turns the whole interaction between you and your partner and puts it on different ground. So I want you to try that. See what happens. Notice how it feels. Like I said earlier, when I heard that perspective from Jack Canfield yesterday, I went, oof, oh, I don't like that. And whenever I have that kind of a reaction, I know it's just the thing I needed to hear for whatever reason, both in my own life or it's something I'm supposed to pass on to you. So that is my tip, a real life tip that any of you can do. You just have to choose to want to try it out. Next time you get irritated with your partner, and maybe they haven't even engaged in anything with you yet, you can look at, all right, how am I creating that I'm really annoyed? What am I doing? What am I not doing? What expectations, going to my last video, what expectations do I clearly now have that I didn't even know I had until I got pissed off, irritated, and resentful? If you're in a dialogue and you're getting irritated, or your partner's getting irritated with you, breathe, hang on, take a time out for a sec. I just want to look at something, and then look at, how am I creating this? A variation on that is, how am I showing up right now that is inviting this kind of reaction, or what I'm judging to be a nasty or shitty way of being with me? And if you get an answer, which you probably should if you look hard enough, then share that. Wait a minute, I'm getting really irritated, and I just realized that this is how I think I'm allowing this to happen, how I've contributed to you being upset with me. So can I just run that by you and find out if I'm making stuff up or am I on track? And that right there will break the spell of the reactivity between the two of you and give you a chance to reconnect from here, and then let this serve that, and then you'll be engaging in a different type of intimacy. Pretty cool. Try it out. And when you try it out, come back to this post. If you're watching this on Facebook, come back to this post, comment below. Anyone who comments will get a little gift from me, just as a thank you for engaging. If you have a comment or you have questions and you feel shy about posting them here, then email me at Geoff@yourrelationshiparchitect.com. That's GEOFF @yourrelationshiparchitect.com. And if you really want to see if this is resonating with you, if it's making you kind of pucker up a little bit, and you want to look at how is this actually impacting your relationship and making it harder than it needs to be, then I want to invite you to go to my website at yourrelationshiparchitect.com, and right on the homepage on the top right, there's a box that says Relationship Design Review. Click on that, and you can apply to just be able to spend some time with me and really look specifically at your relationship, its foundations, what's working in it, what isn't working in it that you'd like to have be better. And we can just talk more specifically rather than the general way that I do here. Okay, everybody, make this day or evening, depending on where you are in the world, make it the best you can make it by being the best you that you can be. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.